why does he use this example? I can imagine you feel the same. Jesus is provocative here, isn't he? First of all, to move a mountain, wouldn't it be a catastrophic thing that would surely kill people and animals living or hiking there on that mountain? Lord, why do you use this item? Don't you want to teach us faith? I could pray to him. Or do you want us to give up right up front? Wouldn't it be easier to take a little thing that is easier to move than the mountain, you know? Why did he do this? I heard many preachers speak about the mountain of your problems in your life. Might be okay. But I don't like that comparison because it evades the challenge. It diminishes the challenge to a human level. You know? Perhaps you can move the mountain of your problems. I mean, it is impossible. Did you ever hear that anybody ever moved a mountain by faith? But I think Jesus means exactly what he says. Someday I thought that we just hear the co-creator mentioning the mountain. You know, I remembered from Proverbs 8:22 to this theory of mine. Yahweh possessed me in the beginning of his way, before his works of old. In chapter 8 of Proverbs, the wisdom is talking. And later on, if you follow this chapter, you will see that of this adjective or character thing of wisdom, it changes into a person. The I am possessed me in the beginning of his way, before his works of old. Verse 25, before the mountains were settled, before the hills was I brought forth. In verse 30, I was a foreman with him, and had my pleasure every day, and played before him always. Then I was by him, as one brought up with him, and I was daily his delight, rejoicing always before him. It might be that Jesus talks here about his experience of exercising his faith at the time of creation, as he designed the mountain ranges and landscapes of the earth. Perhaps he thought, oh, this mountain, no, I want a valley, I want to have a valley here. I put this mountain on that side, you know, that's my imagination, that's my explanation for this comparison. You know, the mustard seed and the mountain. This time he just likes to talk about that without respect, whether we can imagine it or not. I would say Jesus' patience with our unbelief is very limited anyway. Perhaps we stay here for a moment. Recently I found out that the loving Lord Jesus has zero understanding for our incompetence when it comes to exercise the faith. In Matthew 17:17 it says, then Jesus answered and said, O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him hither to me. Do you hear his anger? His disciples had been unable to cast out the demon of this young lunatic boy, epileptic boy. Before that, they had cast out demons before this event. Or when I go to Hebrews 11:6, there it says, without faith it is not possible, it is impossible to please him. For he that comes to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. You see here, probably surprisingly, that God has in no way pity or understanding at all for our weakness in terms of faith. Or if we display unbelief. To the contrary, Romans 14:23 says, and he that doubts is damned if he eat. Talking about the law of the problem with the people who had no butcher in those days. They had animals sacrificed to idols, and those animals were eaten then. They were sold on the marketplace. And for a Christian coming up out of the Jewish tradition, it was impossible. It was sin to eat animal meat having been sacrificed for idols. That was a sin. But Paul is talking about that if your conscience is mature, you know that it doesn't matter if it's animal sacrifice for an idol or killed other way, you can eat it. You are not under the law, but people with a weak conscience, they still fear the law. And if somebody ate this animal with a bad conscience, that was not out of faith, but it was then sin for him. He that doubts is damned. That doesn't mean eternal damnation. It means just he sins and needs forgiveness for that. For the conclusion is Romans 14:23, for whatsoever is not of faith is sin. So every deed you do out of fear or out of whatever, when there is not faith involved and you do it not out of the motivation of faith, you sin. So brothers and sisters, you see, we all are still full of sin, if we take that really seriously here. Yes, because no one of us can yet fulfill Jesus' promises in John 14:12. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believes on me, the same works that I do, shall he do also. And greater works than these shall he do, because I go unto my Father. I want to admit that for my person. I want to face that challenge. And I don't want to settle in my present disability to use faith victoriously. At least in the theoretical manner, I would like to develop everything that Jesus died for, to give it to me. I totally realize that this is a war zone that we enter here. We all know that we have a real enemy. As long as you comply with him dominating the main areas of our social life, as there is education, finances, healthcare, sexuality, religion, politics, media, and so on. As long as you comply with him dominating these areas of your life, he's okay with you, no problem. But if you want to conquer your Christian promises for your life and the life of your loved ones and other people, then you stir him up, and he will stand up against you.